So what would you consider the Mount Rushmore of 2010's Cartoon Network shows?
I'm glad you asked me that, Wright. I think for the first three, it's undoubtedly Regular Show, Adventure Time, and The Amazing World of Gumball.
Well, yeah, I think those shows are non-negotiables. Anyone who thinks otherwise have probably been living under a rock or under the influence.
Do tell me though, Wright, what do you believe deserves the fourth spot?
Well, it clearly has to be Steven Universe. After all, he was one of the many shows that were on the top of the loop Cartoon Network was releasing.
Objection! Right, you can't be serious. Steven Universe is one of the most terrible shows of all time.
God, when is Edgeworth coming back? But go on, Payne. If not Steven Universe, what other show could possibly be the fourth spot for the Mount Rushmore?
Well, that's definitely gonna have to go to Teen Titans Go! Right?
Swear to God you didn't just say that.
Well, it's a good show, right? There's gotta be a reason that the show's still running up to this day.
Objection! Teen Titans Go is even top 10 Cartoon Network shows. Just because it's long running doesn't make it good. There are plenty of shows that are still running to this day that are just way off their prime. SpongeBob, Simpsons, and Family Guy. However, they at least had a prime. Titans Go is so bad, they literally make fun of the fact they're bad. Not surprising when instead of being superheroes, they're making poop jokes and singing about waffles.
Well, Steven Universe doesn't have much good humor itself, right? Can you name anything funny from Steven Universe?
Well, not off the top of my head. I will admit, Steven Universe doesn't really hold a candle to the humor the other shows have. It's kinda just cringy band kid humor. But it does have its fair moments. Besides, what it lacks in humorous jokes, it makes up for in the unique world building, character, story, and most definitely songs.
Hold it! Right, the songs are a bunch of hippie, dippy baloney. Steven Universe is all about the power of friendship and talking about your feelings. No one wants to sit through that junk, they just want to see more action-packed scenes and mature content.
Hold it! First off, if you're complaining about a kid's show trying to spread positive messages, then I think you're not allowed to argue about this stuff. Especially when the other shows in the Mount Rushmore had the brushes with the power of friendship trope. Second, there's more than enough action scenes and mature subjects in Steven Universe to meet those standards. Sure, it's not heavy as Regular Show or Adventure Time, but it still handles them pretty well. Jasper and the Diamonds are pretty well-written villains of the show, and the show will occasionally touch upon mature themes like relationship problems, mental health, and even oppression.
Well, Steven's just a whiny kid. No one wants to watch a show to see a kid cry through his problems.
Yes, Winston, he's a kid, just like a big majority of main characters in kids shows. Yes, he's going to cry and whine about his problems. So what? He's literally a child! By the way, I think the reasons that Steven cries are pretty damn good reasons. I'd be sad too if I was under the impression that my loved ones were in danger, that my mother was a war criminal who committed heinous acts, or if I was literally in the center of a war. People forget that it's a good thing when characters cry and show emotions. It shows they have feelings, that they're passionate about things, and shows a vulnerable side that we can relate to. If you're gonna complain that a character gets emotional, then you should also definitely have a problem when Mordecai or Finn deal with relationship problems.
Well, why do all of the gems have to be girls? It just means excessive along with all the LGBTQ representation.
Geez, you really shouldn't be arguing about this kind of stuff if you're easily offended by that. No, I get it sometimes if there's characters or relationships that can be a bit pushy towards the audience. It definitely happens. But with all the gems being female was just a style choice Rebecca Sugar made. Whether because she wanted to show girls can be just as engaging characters, or because of the voice actors, it's all whatever in the end. As for LGBTQ, that's even more of a non-problem that doesn't hinder the show's storytelling. In fact, it's more of a solution than anything because gay marriage wasn't even legalized back then, so it's like the representation was a bit of a protest towards that. I'm not even gay, Winston, but even I can see that it's messed up that there were laws preventing people from loving the ones that they were in love with. Steven Universe may have been a personal comfort zone for LGBTQ people to remind themselves that they should accept themselves for who they are.
It feels pushy, right? Like the many times it reminds us Ruby and Sapphire are madly in love with each other, always kissing and flirting. That's gotta be shoving the ideologies down our throat.
Objection! Payne, couples who are madly in love with each other is a common trope in cartoons, like Muscle Man and Starla, or Jeff and Bridget from Total Drama. Are you gonna claim that they're shoving their straightness down our throats? Besides, I can argue that the show makes a bigger deal of Greg and Rose being together, seeing that it's actually a relationship that they couldn't comprehend at the time. Also, I kinda just gotta point this out, Greg was way out of his league. Like, there's no way he can handle all that. And then he tried to take a crack at Blue Diamond? Needless to say, I'm pretty jealous of Greg.
Well, what about the sexual undertones? Isn't fusion like a representation of sex?
Whoa, what the hell?
Hey, that's just what the show's inferring, since you gotta love the other people to do it. And when Paradox gets offered the fuse, she was humiliated by it.
That's what you... No! 1,000 times no. That's just straight up weird. If that were the case, then the show would have gotten cancelled a long time ago. They mean you to have special connections to make fusion more effective. Like how you'd have a good chemistry with a friend or your family. Any gem can fuse, but it's more stable when they're in unison. Peridot was just flustered because it was a whole weird concept to her. Fusions were only meant for multiple of the same gem, not different ones mixing. You can think of fusion more like a hug or a kiss to the cheek, not fucking sex. But we're drifting off topic. Some others may say, what about Clarence or Uncle Grandpa? Honestly, those shows weren't really recognized until much later down the line. They're fine, but they weren't really smiled upon at first. And the other shows in the Mount Rushmore had some sort of specials or movie to expand their world. Regular Show had a movie and are continuing with the Lost Tapes. Gumball has a new show, and Adventure Time has many spin-off episodes along with Fiona and Cake. Steven also got his own movie, a continuation with Steven Universe Future, and apparently a spin-off show starring Lars. Having all this clearly shows that there's a supportive community behind the show. Hey, right, I'm finally back. Finally!